My name is Maria Marsala. As you can tell, I am a native New Yorker. I happen to live in Seattle, Washington, well across from Seattle, Washington, for the time being. I needed to know what it was like living out in New York, so I moved a couple of places. I lived in North Carolina and Seattle, and I plan to go home in the next 2 years. I want to thank you for being here. I know that there were a lot of different choices that you had this morning, and I appreciate you coming here. The name of this is 6 Ways to Economy-Proof Your Business. And I thought a lot about the title. I was going to call it recession proofing when I first started to create this particular talk. And then I thought, it's too late. If you were going to recession-proof your business, you had to be on my email list in October of 2007 when I told my clients and my newsletter subscribers that we're hitting rough times, because I already started to see it. Now, some of me seeing that comes from my background. I was a trader on Wall Street. So I had to see things, hopefully. I was a trader for 10 years, so hopefully I saw a lot of stuff coming. But I started to see some things that I saw in the late 70s, in 1981, when interest rates were like 20%, when we had problems in the housing market in the 90s, and most recently after 9/11. I'd already started seeing that more people were coming to me and saying, I need coaching, how much is it going to cost me? Where before it was, I need coaching, let's see what plan is the best for me. Now I started to hear more money questions. And that's one of the things that happens in a down economy. The thing is, you don't want to have to worry about the economy for your business. You don't want to worry about the seasons in your business. You just want to deal with your business. So how do you do that? Well, most people expect when they go into business that their profit's going to look like this every year. If you're new to business, you probably set an unrealistic goal the first year. And then maybe made some changes in the second year. But the truth about business is that it's more of a sideways S. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. And so what you do is, in those up periods, you start to plan for the down times. One of the ways of planning is actually to open up a savings account for your business and start putting a certain amount of your income into that savings account every month. So I put my tax money in there, and I put my savings money in there. And if I overestimated on the tax money, that becomes my savings money at the end of the year. It does not become more money I spend. And that's worked very, very well. Now, I heard from a few of you who are extremely concerned about the recession. You know, what to do. I can tell you that there are meeting planners making money. Contrary to what you hear on the news. There are people in many businesses making money. I am making money. I'm making money differently this year than a year ago, but I'm making money. In fact, I'm making a little bit more than I made last year. And how does that happen? One of the things as a business owner is we need to be flexible. We need to watch what's happening, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on when I talk about monitoring your business. I'm just seeing if I presume it's up here. Okay. So let's talk about what's on the agenda. We're going to identify 6 critical questions that will help you focus on what's important in your business. Focus is important to start out with. It's even more important now. There are so many things you could be doing, so many suggestions that people are giving you. But which ones are important? I'm going to show you a way to figure that out. We're going to use the best practice assessment to determine the current state of your business. If, for those of you who downloaded it and have it printed, you'll be ahead of the game. They asked us not to print a lot of stuff, so I did not bring extra copies. So I'm going to play around with it a little bit differently than usual, because you have to be flexible. And we're going to craft your vision statement, because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. And you may end up like some of my clients who didn't create any kind of business plan. And 3 or 4 years into business, they said, you know, my business doesn't look like I want it to look, and I don't like the way it looks. Because sometimes it looks different and you do like it. So how can you keep your eye on the vision? So let's deal with the bad news first. Okay, this is a statistic I took from PCMA, and nothing should surprise you. Revenues are down on meetings. Quite a bit. Okay. The first goal in getting somewhere is to decide that you're not going to stay where you are. That's also the first goal in economy proofing. And if those of you, if you give me your business cards, I'll make sure you get any kind of notes I talk about today, okay, at the end. So here are 6 ways to economy proof your business. First is to decide where you are. Next is to decide what you're building. Who are your best clients? How will you measure success? And we'll go into each one of these. How to use your time wisely. And what are the big tasks that you need to complete in order to have a successful business? And for those of you who are running departments or units, just put the word unit or department in there when I say business. I'm just going to give it one more minute because I know some of you are writing. So where do you start? Number 1, cut down the amount of time you watch and listen to the news. You will be amazed. I have all my clients going out and buying whatever humorous DVDs there are that they like. You've got to bring some fun in your life because everything and everybody is so down. Now, the newspaper thing is a hard thing for me. Being a trader on Wall Street, I read 3 newspapers before I got to work and watched the news. So I really understand how hard it is not to watch the news, but it's really important. Or switch. Watch PBS News. You know, it's a little less dramatic than everything you're going to see in the newspapers. I mean, so I was at a hotel. I actually drove here, and I've gotten a beautiful view of the country. And somebody said, you know, here's a newspaper. It's the last one. Take it. And I said, no. Because I saw the headline. I said, I don't want no more bad news. There's enough bad stuff going on. Because hearing that stuff over and over and over again, even if you have a very positive attitude, it starts getting to you. So don't read the newspapers as often as you usually do. And buy some humorous DVDs or for some of us, VHSs, go pull them out from the drawer and look at them again. Because we need to bring that stuff into our lives. So that was a -1 suggestion. So the first one is, where are we? There are 2 ways to figure out where you are in business. Okay? So if you have a blank sheet of paper on the back, I want you to draw a line down the center of the page, and then a line through the middle. Okay. And I want you on the top to write the letters S-W-O-T. Has somebody done this before? So what do the letters stand for? Okay, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Okay, that's what you're going to put in one word in each of those boxes. We're not going to do this particular exercise, but you need to know your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and your competition. Very, very important. Because how can you create a business plan or a marketing plan if you don't know this basic information? The second thing you need to know is where you're at, and that is in a... Can I borrow yours? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to rate these items. This is a sheet that's not here. Some of you may have it. It's 2 columns with some lines. So if you have it, rate the first column. Okay? And if you don't have it, listen to me and write these things down and rate them. So, you got me. So here's the rating system. NA means non-applicable. 1 means you suck at it. 3 means you're average. And 5 means you are brilliantly successful. So we have NA, sucks, average, and brilliantly successful. First one, business plan. Well, you have to be, that's a very good question. You have to be using it. Yes, you have to be using it. Okay, good question. Business tracking system. Track your sales, track how many phone calls you make. A daily game plan. Got your priorities determined for the day. Business plan effectiveness. Attracting your ideal clients. You have an exit strategy for your business. You have a marketing plan. You have selling skills that are working. You have a lead generation or sales system. Okay, we'll do just a couple more. Your company has a brand or identity that was not created in clip art. or on your own computer. You have an elevator speech that works. Okay. And the last one I'll do is you have expert status in your industry. Thank you so much. Come see me at the end for something. You have expert status in your industry. That was about a quarter of what was in that assessment. So how'd you do?
Some on the 5s and some on the 3s.
Some on the 5s, some in the 3s. Very good. Any other comments? You suck? Thank you for your honesty. You have a few non-applicables. Yeah, they're probably applicable, I can tell you that much. There should not be any. Non-existent. Okay, I'll take that. So we have a few applicables. One of my bookkeeper actually is starting a new business, and she asked me if she can do this assessment. And she said, this assessment is great. I wish I had it when I started my bookkeeping business, because it kind of gives me like everything I need in order to run a viable business. And I had to learn all these things the hard way.
Question I have is, I rated myself low on things because I don't put things in writing necessarily, but effective marketing, when you know what you're going after from a networking standpoint and you're actively involved, I think sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for what we really are doing.
Yes. So the statement is that, you're probably doing a lot of things, but you may not give yourself credit for some of the stuff that you're doing. The biggest thing is to take what's in your head and put it down in writing, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And going along with that, when you get the NAs and the 1s and the 2s, what we do as humans is we concentrate on those. But we really need to give ourselves credit for the 4s and the 5s we have. And this is with any assessment, and I do it too. You do an assessment and then you see how bad you are. Well, you are brilliantly successful in some areas, so you have to give yourself credit. Now here's the things with those non-applicables and 1s and 2s. Determine if you are the right person to be doing those things. Client is not good at, an event planner client of mine is not good at bookkeeping. So he said, what class should I go take? And I said, why? He said, well, I want to learn how to, do QuickBooks. And I said, why? Well, I need to put my stuff in it. I said, no, you do not. Take your hourly, and this is the first way to start hiring people, is to take your hourly rate, okay, whatever that number is, and a bookkeeper you can get from between $25 and $45 an hour, and you tell me that it's worth doing your own bookkeeping. You could be out there making money while somebody is doing a job that you hate doing. What you do need to know is your P&L, your balance sheet, what you're making per customer, all of the things you need to know. Your bookkeeper should be good enough to be able to set up reports that all you have to do is push a button and the report gets printed. Now, one of the many things I did on Wall Street was I ran an accounting department, but I hate to do bookkeeping. So I have the buttons, and I just push them and create reports. So the only thing you really need to figure out is what do you need to be monitoring in your business, and how can you get QuickBooks to do that? So when you look at those low numbers, should you be doing that job? Should you be outsourcing it? And with accounting, and bookkeeping, just watch your risk. I've been working with my bookkeeper for 3 or 4 years. She does not have my PIN numbers at my bank. Especially with small businesses, it's easy for somebody to take advantage. So get recommendations from people. The 2 people most small businesses hire first is a bookkeeper and a house cleaner. Or a house cleaner and a bookkeeper. Either one in those 2 orders. Especially if how many home businesses do we have? Okay, so we have quite a few. You start getting to a point where you don't want to see your house anymore. Excuse me? Okay, so the question is the third thing marketing and sales? It really depends on your answers to this and how many things you got in the one area or NA that are important to your business. Some of you love marketing, so you might not want to hire a marketer. But you may want to hire a graphic person to update your brand. I did that 2 years ago. My ideal client changed and I needed to update my brand. So you have to kind of weigh and prioritize what ends up being important. I will send the assessment. Everybody gives me a card. And any other notes I mentioned. Okay. Everyone in this room has a plan. It is doing you no good in your head. She has a business. Okay, we have somebody that has a business plan, so hang on here. When was the last time you looked at it?
When I did it in 2001.
Okay, 2001. Okay. Okay. So now we're getting now the honesty part is coming out. Okay. Okay, so do you see them and you can get one. So what you want to do is you want to go out and get a book called The One-Page Business Plan for Consultants. Now I have to say I'm a consultant for the One-Page Business Plan program. I like things nice and simple. It's a business and a marketing plan. We're actually going to do some parts of that today. You don't need a 40-page plan that you're not going to look at. You need a plan on how to run your business every day. Does that make sense? And so I'm going to show you a bit about that process today. That is not in the bookstore because it's by Jim Horan. It's not by me. Horan, Horan. And I'll make sure you get links to all this stuff. Okay, there are really 4 books. I don't think there are any nonprofits in here, are there? We have 1? Okay, 2. Huh?
How did you define nonprofit today?
So the question is, how did I define nonprofit? Okay, 503Cs. So we got 2 503Cs in the room. Okay. So we talked about these 2 things, the business checkup and SWOT. So I know you can all read. I'm going to go get copies because I'm sure that you don't all have copies of this. Can I ask you a favor? I'm going to ask a question. Whoever raises their hand, give them one. Okay, who does not have a vision statement form? Who did not download it from the system? Raise your hand and somebody's going to come around and give them to you. And I don't want you to write on the side of the form that has the information. I want you to write on the back of the form. Anyone else? And thank you for... That one? Okay. That's one of my favorites. Thank you for helping. Okay, so on the back of a piece of paper, I want you to write down the side of the page the numbers 1 to 8. You are going to write a vision statement in 3 minutes. So tell me when you're ready. So on the back of the page, write 1 to 8. Now here's the thing, we're going to do a vision statement for 1 year, but I do want you to write 3 vision statements for yourself. A 1 year, an exit strategy, and somewhere in between. So it could be the year that you're going to semi-retire, or it could be 10 years into the business, whatever that number is. So 1 year, exit strategy, and somewhere in between. Because part of the problem that people have in running their business is that some people are tree people, some people are forest people. So the tree people see right now. They are very much into the details. In fact, they will detail themselves to death, and the action kind of doesn't happen. And then some people are forest people. They know what they want to do 10 years from now, but they can't see today. And to be a business owner, you need to be able to look at both of those. When you make decisions, it can't just be a decision for today. It needs to be a decision for today and how I want to leave my business. Any questions on that? Comments? Okay. So we got the numbers 1 to 8. In the first number, I want you to put the number 1. The number 1 next to the number 1. Okay. The second one, I want you to put the name of your company. The third one, I want you to come up with an adjective that a year from now you're going to be able to use to describe your business. One word. What's an adjective that you want to use a year from now to describe your business? So we may have some nonprofit businesses that want to be profitable. What you achieve. So it could be adjective. Just the word to describe, such as successful, profitable, recognized. In the next line, I want you to write, in general, what's the type of company that you have? Or what type of department are you working in? So that would be generalizing. The next is, where do your clients come from? Where do they come from? Location. As specific as you can get. The more specific, the better. Geographically. Yeah, geographic location. So some of you may be, want most of your clients in your particular area or your particular county or your particular city. Some of you take on national clients. Some of you take on international clients. That's good to know for many reasons. The next is, what are you providing? So what are the specifics of what you're providing? Because it's just not event planning. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that go into creating that event. Well, write some of them. And if you have a list of 600 things on your website, one of the suggestions I have is to categorize them. So I have 10 ebooks and CDs I sell. So I don't write all 10 of them in my vision statement. I just write 10 CDs. So I categorize them. The next one is, who is your ideal client? So start writing a bit of a description about your ideal clients. And here's my very short definition of an ideal client. It's the person who comes to you knowing what they want, valuing your service, doesn't give you a hard time on price, and refers you every chance they get. So they basically come to you and help you make the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of aggravation. Those are the people you have to target in your marketing. Okay. And the last one is, how much in sales are you going to make in the next year? What's your number going to be? Up to you. Your choice. Gross is always easier to figure out and monitor versus net. So you may want to look at the gross number. Okay, you've just created your vision statement. So if you turn over the page, I'm going to give you a few minutes to fill that in. And I'll critique one or two vision statements. Because the vision statement is that important. And remember, this is your first draft, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. One more minute. Okay, so who would like to volunteer? Okay, we've got 1, 2. Okay. Stand up and read it like a grammatically incorrect sentence. Incorrect, yeah, because that does not make one sentence. The English teachers, if there are any among us, would get very upset because it doesn't make a sentence, but it makes a vision statement. So. Okay, so let me bond it a minute. So here's what I would say for you. The type of company needs to be honed down. It's too long. So mine, maybe a management company, a management operations company, management events company, something in that regard. Because it's too much for another human being to handle. And I know I do hear this in introductions where, somebody rattles on a whole bunch of stuff and, I was lost at the first word they said. Okay. So you want to do that. And corporate and association clients, what I want you to do is to really hone in on what those clients are. How much in sales? How many events a year do they have? How long have they been in business? I'm not going to, this is how we figure out, one way to figure out who your ideal clients are. You want to get that bullseye. You want to know everything about that client. You want 80% of your client should be coming from that ideal client perspective. That is who you're going to be marketing to. I might work with new business owners, but they are not my ideal clients. All my marketing materials are geared towards people who have been in business 3 years or more. I'm making $100,000, and I think my highest client has made $30 million. I know what kind of cars my clients drive. I know where they shop. I know what stuff they want to read. They read online or not. You need to know all those things about your clients so you can determine where your marketing dollars are going to be spent and where your networking time is going to be spent. So I'll give you a quick example. I get a phone call from a trade show who wants me to get a booth for a weekend. And it is a women's event. And so I say to them, send me the demographics. And they say, okay, we'll go find them. And they send me the demographics, and out of 150,000 people that attend this event, like 15% are my ideal clients. Very easy decision not to put the money out. So the question is, how did I know that they were my ideal clients? If a company is giving you demographics, they should be giving you age, amount of money the person makes, what neighborhoods they live in, depending on the type of trade show it is. They should be able to give you all that information so that you can best determine if that's a good use of your time. Now, I went to that conference, to that convention, and I introduced myself to all the people who spent $1,000 to be there. Because they were my ideal clients. So the vendors were my ideal clients, not the people coming to the show. And I bet that may be true for some of you with some of the events that you do. Or that you have been attending. When you know who's in that bullseye, You will market smarter automatically. You will say no an awful lot. There's a process, and I don't know if event planners uses no, because my event planner clients didn't know. It's called go, no go. Have anybody heard of it? They actually use this in the architect, engineer, and construction businesses. So somebody comes to them and says, we need to build this particular thing. Give me an RFP. You're all familiar with that. They look at their ideal clients and they determine if that event is a go or no go. They know it's going to cost them X amount of dollars to create that proposal of time, effort, money, research. And in their cases, you're talking, $25,000 just to create a proposal for some of these very complicated projects they're working on. And they have this go, no-go process that says this is a go or this is a no-go. So that's something we can borrow from the construction. Because I use that when I'm deciding to market, when I'm deciding what groups to go speak to. I had somebody call me that wanted me to speak at a business meeting. They wanted me to speak for free. So that's like a big flag. And then I said, well, do you have 35 people? And they said, no, we can only do 7. I says, I can't speak. Because I can come up with a lot of in-kind stuff for somebody to give me that will help my business. But if they don't have the people, it's not worth my traveling time. So you want to be able to say no, actually much more in business than yes. Questions? Has anybody done an ideal client profile? I'll be with you in a second. Anybody done one? We got one. Think about this. A lot of you have worked in corporate America. How many of you have worked in corporate America? Could you see your companies running without having an ideal client profile? Without having a vision? For that sort of template, okay, this I'm allowed to say. Upstairs in the speaker area, I have a CD that's for sale through MPI, and it includes a CD on economy proofing your business, so something similar to this, but I did it on a telephone, and it has the whole program. Got audios to listen to of other people just like you who have gone to the class and asked the questions that you want to ask, but maybe don't know you want to ask yet. And it's got a 35-page workbook. You start at the beginning. By the time you're done, you'll have your ideal client profile. People have been in business 29 years, have said they wish they would have done it sooner. Instead of being $1 million business, they could probably be $10 million business just from answering the questions. Okay, my ideal client profile, somebody that's been in business at least 3 years, someone who is coachable, which means that I'm a taskmaster. If you hire me as a coach, then if I don't see results because you're not doing your homework, I will fire you. I know that's not the way a lot of people work, but that is the way I work. I'm not going to take your money if you're not doing the work. You need to be able to do your business plan in 45 days. And you need to be hungry for the knowledge that you're missing. You want to learn how to run your business better. And you want to create a mini empire, whatever that may look to you. Some of my clients, $100,000 is a mini empire, especially if they're moms with small children. They want to build a mini empire and then a bigger one when the kids get off to school. You know, others are making $10 million and they don't want to work in their companies anymore. They want to create their companies. I had one client who wanted to create a company. She created her company and only wanted to work 1 day a month. So you have to be willing to hire employees if you are my ideal client. So these are some things. Usually they're women and they're from ages 35 to 50. So you want to have a 15-year, you know, if your clients are individuals, you want to have a 15-year span, not more than that. But all the things I'm answering, all the things I'm saying, I was able to answer by going through my questions. Because you're right, there is nothing out there for us, small business owners, in regards to ideal clients. So I just tell you that the 2 CDs normally cost about $325, and they're upstairs for $99. So think about it. Somebody, you had a question, and I'll take yours. I'll take yours next.
You had said say no more than you say yes, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that philosophy, given the current economic climate, having to say yes for sake of having the business.
Okay. If you need the business to survive, and you have to have that money in order to pay your basic bills, I would tell my clients to take it, but you're still hurting yourself. Because when you take that client, you don't have space for your ideal to come in. I have seen people do the ideal client profile and all of a sudden start getting flooded with their ideal clients. They were there all along, but now they're noticing them at networking events. They're noticing them at meetings because they have a clearer picture. So do I take new business owners as clients? Yes. I have to take a reduced rate with them. So I have 2 new business owners usually as clients. I have to say no to the rest and I start a waiting list. But one of the ways to get around that is if you do a certain type of event and somebody else does a certain type of event, well, maybe you can do some kind of partnering and give each other a commission or something. But when you do take that unideal client, here's what happens. So you take an unideal client, they're probably going to waste an awful lot of your time because they're very maintenance heavy. They're going to ask you 8 million questions and use up a lot of your time. And the only people they're going to be able to refer to you are people just like them. So I would say go after your ideal, but if you have a mortgage to pay, you have a mortgage to pay. So thank you. That was a great question. You had a question?
Well, sometimes I get referrals from hotels, so I'm almost working where I'm only getting a certain amount of information about that client. So I'm not getting a full client profile. I try and get in there and get some of the questions answered because I want to know who I'm addressing when I'm doing a proposal.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want to give too much away. So is there a...
Yes, create a form and tell them this is your form, this is the information that you need, and you can't work with them if they don't give you this information. How can you plan an event or do any kind of work if you don't know who you're working with?
I work for a hotel, and I can say that right now, I would view you as a partner. I wouldn't view that as a threat. I would be looking to how can I build a partnership with you so we can help each other, you know, and that's the attitude it should be.
Okay, so let me just repeat this because it's being taped. So Janelle works at a hotel and would view somebody asking them questions and getting more information as more of a partnership. So you heard it from a hotel. Create a questionnaire. So you can create your ideal client profile, which is a 6-step process using my process. And then at the end, create a profile, maybe 10 questions that absolutely, positively have to be answered in order for you to take a job. Because the hotels don't want you to do a sloppy job. They may not know what information you need in order to do a really good job. Okay, so that's that. So we're going to look at objectives next. Making enough money is not an objective, but I hear it all the time. Create a house budget and create a business budget. This way you know what enough means. I have a story that has nothing to do with business. I moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island, and one of the things I wanted to do was live near a beach. And I bought a house near the beach. And I bought the house in October, and come the following summer, I'm all ready. I put my bathing suit on, I get my chair and walk down the block, and almost cried. I had not asked for a clean beach. So be specific in everything you do, or you're not going to get what you really want. And watch your time. I've got an article in the back on 10 ways to say no to freebie seekers. Because in service industry, the amount of people, I just want 5 minutes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we all know what that means. So now I say, okay, 5 minutes, that's okay, 5-2. Got it. You got 5 minutes, then you go on the clock. Be surprised at how quickly somebody could say something when they only have really 5 minutes. But I have a whole bunch of ways that you can say no to somebody in a more polite way. Because not all of you come from New York and get away with what I can get away with. Okay, so you want your objectives is your first piece of your marketing plan. So now you know who your ideal client is. Now you want to create your marketing plan. And the first piece is to create objectives. In the one-page business plan process, you have 9 objectives to create. Does anybody come to me with 9 objectives? No. They come to me with gigantic lists. And then we prioritize them into 9 items. 1-sentence items. So you all have your first objective. Your first objective is achieve sales of whatever you put in your vision statement by July of 2010. Okay, so you all have your first one. You want your goals to be SMART. The goal that I just gave you, the difference between I want to make enough money and achieve sales of X amount by X date, is the difference between a dream and a goal. So your objectives could be about money. It could be about training. You want to increase the amount of training hours for you or your staff from blank to blank. Could be about customers. You want to increase the amount of accounts from blank to blank. Maybe you want to even get more specific. You want to have 15 new accounts in the first half of the year and 15 new accounts in the second. You put dates on everything. You'll be amazed what happens when you do this the first time. I remember writing down that I wanted to speak once a quarter. This was quite a few years ago. And I accomplished that. I do teleclasses, so and blog radio and stuff like that. So I was doing that. The next thing I know, I wanted to do that in a year. Next thing I know, I'm doing 2 and 3 and 4. And so I had to go back and revise business plan. But when you concentrate on the important things in your business, that's what happens. Most of my clients create their business plan for the year, and it's always the first business plan they've ever created on one page. And we have to go back every quarter and change the numbers upwards because they've gotten so focused on the most important things for their business that their numbers automatically increase. But you have to set realistic goals to start out with and then kind of go from there. So you want to have 9 objectives. This is the other part of the objectives. You want them to be balanced. They can't all be about money unless you are in business less than 6 months, which I don't think people here are. You want to have some financial objectives, some process objectives, some client objectives, and some training objectives. If you don't have some of your processes written down, if you don't have an intake process, that's usually one of the first processes I work with clients on, so that everything is systematized. You know, I have all my client binders. I send out a welcome kit, and the welcome kits are in the cabinet, in a box, ready to get shipped. All I do is add individual things for that particular business and ship them out. All the forms my clients fill out, they're all on a password-protected area of my website. Make things easier for you. But it starts with creating forms and designing things that you need in order for your business to run properly. They also help you look more professional. When you've got questionnaires on your letterhead and you go to a meeting and you're writing, even if you're the one using the questionnaire. Any question on objectives? Okay. How do you use your time wisely and this is about leveraging your time and integrating strategies. Let me just say what the integrating strategies piece is. You want to integrate your online strategies with your offline strategies. So I'll give you an example of what that might look like. I write articles and I post them to places on the internet. You also have those same articles in the back of the room. You will also find those articles in a special area on my website. I will also take those articles and pull a tip out of those articles. So I can write one article and find 10 ways to do it, and I call that marketing using the power of 10. So any marketing piece you create for your business, find 10 other ways to use that piece. And if you can leverage it and do integrated marketing, even better. You'll see integrated marketing a lot more even in books. How many books have you bought in the last maybe 3 or 4 years where at the end of the chapter it says, for more information on this, go to this website. Or it says, for a free ticket to a teleseminar, go to this website. That's integrating in-person print with the internet. Good way to save money. I had a client pay someone to take 10 pages worth of their company information and get it down into a 1-page report that she wanted to send out. So she paid a copywriter to do this because all she can come up with is 10 pages. And I think she paid like $300 or $400 to have it all done. And she said, this is very good, but that's a lot of money for a small business owner to put out for what she was doing. And I says, well, it looks to me like there's a tips list that I can get from this one sheet. looks to me like you can create individual tips and probably end up with 10 editions of your online newsletter. What else did she do? She put some of her tips on postcards and gave them out at meetings in addition to her business card, or in some cases instead of her business card. So look, if you spend money on any kind of marketing, look for 10 other ways to use that marketing item. Questions about integrated marketing or leveraging? So the question is, would I put an ideal client profile on the back of my card? And I would not. I would leave, the back of my cards leave enough space to write stuff in, and they're not so shiny that you get ticked off at somebody that you can't write them on. But I would not put that there, just like I would not put, I've seen cards that say, for a referral, we take referrals or something. I don't even know you and you want a referral? Even for a New Yorker, that's too forward. I've seen them tactfully done where somebody will put for a free newsletter, go to the website. But I just think business cards should be an introduction of you to other people, and that the other stuff should come from your elevator speech, your 5 or 7 or words and stuff. Okay. So it is 11 o'clock. We are doing good. You have to remember, and this is something we forget as service people, if you know what your hourly rate is, even if you don't use it to price stuff, you start thinking about how you're going to leverage your time a lot more. You start prioritizing a lot more. Because if it's going to cost you, it's a cost to go to a networking event. Not only the cost of getting into it, but your time. And I figured it out for a client who was going to BNI and wanted to know if they were getting, their dollars worth. By the time you figure out the travel time, the amount of money it costs to be there, the amount of lunches, the amount of times you're meeting people, it was like about $5,000 a year. She was not getting $5,000 worth of business. She was giving a lot of referrals. So she's a good person to know. But she wasn't getting them. And it wasn't because she wasn't doing anything right, because we had worked on her elevator speech, etc. She was in the wrong group. So some of you may be in the wrong networking groups. So if your primary purpose of going to a networking group is to get clients, you're going to build relationships, but you want to get clients, make sure you're getting them. Leverage, leverage, leverage. And number 6, what are the big tasks you need to get complete? And this is in the one-page business plan. It's called the action plans. It is not a to-do list. That would not even fit on one page for most of us. Okay? It is what are the big things that need doing. So let's see. I was going to say, website is the big one, especially since my buddy needs a website. So I want to create a website by a certain date, because your action plans have to have dates. If you can figure out a number to put in that action plan, great, but they have to have a date. So let's say we're going to create a website by October 31st, 2009. Okay. What kinds of things do I need? Content, traffic, graphics, a web designer, how you want them to contact you, testimonials, what's going to be on each page, not only the words, a budget, case studies, research. So what you would have on your one-page plan would be create website by October of 2009. What you would have either in a project management program or on a piece of paper that's designated website development, October of 2009, would then be your to-do list. And every one of your to-dos should have a monetary number and a date. It's much easier if it's in like a program like Excel where you can then prioritize the dates. Or in a real project management program. And there are some simple project management programs online. And then the Microsoft project is a little more complicated. But you need to have some kind of a project management system to help you monitor your actions. You want to know how long this event took to get permission from whoever you have to get permission from. How long it took to send the thank you notes out. How long it took to take care of the venue, get the caterers. You'll use that information the next time you do an event. And you'll price yourself even better the next time. Right? Is there anybody here who has not underpriced themselves? One way to stop that process by happening is to figure out how long things really do take in the real world. And so this type of a project management system will help you to do that. And the next time you do a similar project, you can just go to your sheet and you'll give out better proposals. Better for you. With a range. I tell my clients, give it more towards the high end, because what I find is that most people, even their low is too low. Your action plans have to be related to the strategies and the objectives you've put in your plan. You can't have a strategy kind of hanging out on its own without it being a part of something else. That's why I like the one-page business plan process. Because it forces you, when you do it right, it really forces you to make sure that all your strategies hit every one of your objectives, and all your action plans hit all your strategies. So you don't have something dangling that you really don't need to do for your business.
What would be the best way in your opinion to find that to help you find your partner?
Okay. If we have extra time, ask me that question again. Okay. If we have time. I like to do this with action plans. I like to have my clients put them in quarters. Linear is great, and I'm a very linear person, so I like lists. But it's very interesting that I remember one of my clients did a linear, and we didn't catch this mistake in the linear version, but when she put it on the pie chart, we caught that she was going to hire a graphic designer after her website was going to be done. So visually, this works for people. And it's a good second way of creating your action plan list. So I want to I'll give you a bonus. Any questions and comments about what we covered so far? Yes? Right. In a perfect world, so the question is, do I need a 40-page business plan if I have a one-page business plan? The answer is, in a perfect world, you would have both. My clients really do both, but they don't know they're doing both. Because I give them all these individual, I give them the SWOT and the stuff to do in different pages. Because you need the financial part, you need some of the other pieces in order to put the whole pie together. But I do have clients who just do the business plan. They just come to me to do the business plan. Just to get everything that's in their head down on paper. Because think about it, every time you need to make a decision, it goes in your head and bounces all around. It doesn't do you any good up there. But what happens when you take what's in your head and put it down on paper, even if the only thing you do is the vision statement, business is going to look different. Because now you have something to help you determine, no, this doesn't look like it's good for my vision. I'm not going to take that job. Or, let's see how this looks. I didn't have this new information before. Let me see if I want to put it in my vision statement and take the job. So it helps you to make better decisions when you have something written down. But no, you don't need to have the full thing.
How often should you revisit the whole plan? Like you do your one page every year, but all this other information that you're talking about, like how often do you
Okay, so the question is, how often should you revisit things? The first year you do a one-page plan, you're going to probably revisit it every month or so, just because you've learned some new stuff about how you're operating, etc. But then you really don't need to look at it more than once a year. And it's not going to change very much. The numbers may change. You may take 2 strategies off that aren't working, put some on. That's what you'll be doing. But the sheets that you need a SWOT, you need an ideal client profile sheet, you need a financial sheet, a pricing sheet, and a marketing funnel. Marketing funnel. Okay. Everyone here has dealt with a funnel and not known about it. So you've gone to a supermarket because you saw an ad for something on sale you really wanted, and the next thing you know, you're leaving with a shopping cart full of stuff you didn't know you wanted to buy. That's the easiest way for me to identify. So my speaking marketing funnel starts with speaking. And then it goes to putting you on my e-zine, and maybe you want to take a class or buy the CD that's upstairs or whatever. My marketing funnel, and then the prices go up. The services go up. And so my marketing funnel for my website starts with a newsletter. You know, somebody does Google, they come to my site, they get the newsletter, and they go up from there. That a lot of people don't know about and know that not everyone can target for your. So the statement is that there's a business plan program, and I will send you the link to my business plan page that has all the programs on it. Because I do longer business plans for clients. Usually they want to get funding. Or they want to get funding and they started the longer plan and it like freaked them out. And so a one page makes more sense to start out with. But if you have nothing, definitely a one page is the way to do it. Any other questions? Okay, I let you introduce yourselves when you came here. because I'm sure that there are some strategic alliances that can be created in this room. When you know who your ideal client is, it makes it very easy to create strategic alliances. So what would be a strategic alliance? For someone like me, aligning myself with lawyers who do business, event planners who do corporate or executive events, CPAs who specialize in small businesses, graphic designers who specialize in sophisticated style of creating branding and who know about branding, are some of my strategic partners. Sometimes we give each other commission, sometimes they don't. But it's all something that we talked about before. When you know who your ideal client is, the first group of strategic partners you should look for are the ones that will help your ideal client. So those should be the first to concentrate on. So listen to your clients when they say to you, do you do this? And you say no. So my graphic designer does not do websites, but she created mine. She did the picture. And then we did the back end to make it show up on the internet. So she created the graphic of it, but she partners with a web designer who likes programming and who doesn't do graphic. It's a perfect marriage. But it's not the kind of partner that you need a buy-sell agreement for. They're not going to be added to your board of directors or anything like that. They're just strategic partners. So usually that's the place to start. And then to look at your ideal clients and say, what other services might they need that I can be their go-to person? So if somebody needs another service from a business owner, they usually will email me and say, do you know somebody who does X, Y, and Z? Okay, so the question is, how formal should your agreements be? I've been in business 11 years now, and last year I created my first contracts for my strategic partnerships. Not because I wasn't following what we agreed to, but because some of them weren't.
But you do now have
I have a partnership agreement, yeah. It's a 2-page agreement. And it's very two-sided. So it says, you're going to provide this, and I'm going to provide that. And you're going to give me this, and I'm going to provide you that. So my partnership agreement includes things like they're going to put one of my articles in their newsletter twice a year. I'm going to put one of their articles in my newsletter twice a year. They're going to be on my website with 100 words and a link to their website, and vice versa. They're going to put me on an email list and let me know what they're doing every month. What's new? And they're going to hear from me once a month. So so think about what would help you and your company and your clients the most, and develop a strategic alliance form or contract that's very equal. Because I've received them where they're not equal, and I won't work with people. It's got to be a two-way street. Otherwise, it's not a strategic alliance, it's a referral. A referral without commissions or rebates, yeah. And, look at what you want to do with your commissions and rebates that you give people. If you want to do that. I do it because I don't have to market to get the clients. So I give commissions out. I do more than that. I do more than 10%. It's not even worth me trying to have a conversation. You know, any kind of sale, even in a store, you want 15 or 20% before you'll go get in the car and drive to the store. So use that as a good number. You can have levels of strategic partners too. You know, I have a affiliate program on my website. If you join my affiliate program and you sell my CDs on your website or whatever, you get a commission. So there's lots of different strategic alliances. Joint ventures, sometimes they're also called, where you work together with somebody on a project, where it's mutually beneficial. That's, to me, the strategic partnerships need to be mutually beneficial, where a referral is usually beneficial for one side. Questions about that? I mean, I can do a whole day on that, so. And we have 15 minutes. I just wanted to cover some other things that are real important. If you have strategic alliances, you work less. You just do, because you're getting referrals from your strategic partners. Follow-up process, very, very important. All of you have been at this event, and how many people have gotten business cards from people? Okay. You need to see if they're worth and how much of your time they're worth. Go to their website. See what's on there. So I'll give you what my process is. So I can't do it on here because I don't have two pockets. But usually when I'm networking, I try and wear something that has pockets on both sides. Or sometimes it's more like this. When somebody gives me a business card, because there are those business card people, you know. They don't even say hello. Here's your card. When somebody gives me a business card like that, it goes in my left pocket. And when I meet somebody I really want to network with, it goes in my right pocket. And the left pocket gets thrown out. You know, why deal with people that you really don't want to be dealing with? I'll go to people's websites. And if their website looks crappy, I'm not going to deal with them. Why? Because my clients would expect a bit more than that. Now, if my clients were all new business owners, that wouldn't be a big thing. Again, who's your ideal client is so important. Okay, let her take her picture in the back there. So great questions. Great questions, yeah. So I do the card, I go to the website, I learn as much about their company as I can. If I'm going to set up an appointment to meet them, whether it's because I think there'll be a good strategic partnership for me, or maybe a good referral source, or whatever, if I'm going to spend my time meeting with them, I'm going to do more research on their company. So how do I do that? I go to Google, I put their name in quotes, and I see what's been written about them. I put their company's name in quotes. And all that does, if you put something in quotes, it will just look for those specific words one after another. So if you want to start limiting your searches, use quotes around the words. If they're a corporation, you can go to Hoover's, and there's some other corporation listing websites. Does anybody know what the other ones may be called? There are K10, I think, and some other sites for associations. You know, go to their association websites if it's an association you're going to be dealing with. And also see what other people have said about that organization. Because you'll find something on some Yahoo groups or, you know, some LinkedIn, you know, good or bad about the company. You will impress somebody when you meet them. because you don't need to know an awful lot about their company. You also use your time more wisely, because at that meeting, you're going to be trying to get their pain. You know, what are their problems? Or what are the things they can help you with, depending on what kind of a meeting it is. So if it's a client, you want to find out what their pain is. What do they need from you? And you'll impress them because you'll be able to tell them information about their company. And if there's anything people like, is for you to mention their names and the names of the company. You know, if you could remember somebody that you've met at a networking event and say their name a few times as you're having a conversation with them, you'll bump up the level of networking you're doing. You may think it's redundant, but on their side, they like to hear their name and acknowledge that they're here. Okay, we've got 10 minutes. So that's the beginning of a follow-up process. So you meet people, you take their cards, you divide the cards, you figure out which people you want to call or go visit. You do the calling or the visiting, and it doesn't end there. Determine by the end of the call, what is the next step? Is the next step a meeting? Is the next step information? Is the next step going to happen 2 weeks from now? Always have a call to action at the end of every event. Or it may be you found out you have nothing in common and thank you very much and it was a nice lunch. And then follow up. Yes, now would be a good time to ask your question again.
Define your ideal client.
Right.
Okay. Say I'm looking for corporations with over, millions of dollars in sales. Those are my ideal clients.
Mm-hmm.
What is your suggestion on the best way to find those? And say you're coming into a business area. Are there networking groups? How can I find networking groups so that I can network with corporate?
Okay, so the question is, how do you find networking groups that would be helpful to your ideal clients? So if corporations are your ideal clients, you're looking for groups of executives. You're not looking for small business owners. Right? Does that make sense? Well, who else has a suggestion on the type of networking events somebody can go to meet corporations?
I usually tell people that I'm working with that look at associations that those people would be a member of, go to, because it's very likely that you're probably one or the only one that.
Okay, so look at the associations in your area who have executives in them or heads of corporations, or the person who's going to be the person, the power person in the company that's going to be able to say, okay, and here's the money. There's an executive alliance. There's an association of executives, account executives, which is a real good one to go to for a corporate.
One of our best clients, I actually went cold calling.
Okay.
But it was at a trade show, and it was who ran the trade show.
Okay, so the suggestion was the person who is running the trade show. Everyone here should have a library card. I'm not going to ask who doesn't, and you should make an appointment to go meet your business librarian, or it could be the reference librarian, depending on how big your town is. You want a tour of what's available in the library for you, because they pay tens and thousands of dollars for things that me and you would not think of buying, but would be really good to find. Corporations in the area, people in the area, and then have them walk you through what they have available online for business owners. And I say make sure you go in and talk to them, because I'm computer savvy. I've been playing around with computers since 1973. And I went, I moved to a new area. I went on the web. I played around. I saw what they had. I knew I wanted to make an appointment. I made an appointment. I learned things that I didn't know were there. Because she knew to click 4 times. They don't have the best navigation libraries on their websites. But they have Gail's list of organizations, and which is a list of every organization in the world with their contact information. Not websites, but it's available for you to go through online. So definitely do that. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay, so the CVBs in your area. Mm-hmm. Great.
And another place, if you know, you look at the specific companies, I will look and see like every newspaper, although I know you said don't look at newspapers. But
Well, it's a business newspaper. It's a different story.
Look in the business section because they always have things about people.
Mm-hmm.
People moving, promotions, find out who's senior, sales marketing for the company. So now you have a warmer contact.
Right. So look in the business journal or examiner that you may have for that sort of thing. Great. Great. Okay. So hopefully you know where you are right now. It may not be where you want to be, but at least you know some ways of getting where you want to be. You know what you're building. Your homework is to work on your vision statements, the 3 of them. You know a lot more information about why an ideal client profile is important. You know that to measure success, you need numbers. You're going to use your time wisely because you're going to be using the power of 10 in your marketing. And you know which big tasks to complete. So in closing, winners do what they have to do, and losers do what they want to do. Who are you going to be walking out of this room today? Thank you very much for your participation, and I appreciate it. I'm going to stay, there's stuff in the back.